everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you are having a great Saturday and a great weekend so far. It's Mother's Day weekend, so if you're a mother, happy Mother's Day to you, before it starts tomorrow. And make sure you tell your mother happy Mother's Day tomorrow. But I appreciate you tuning in and giving me a little time this weekend for sure. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that, by now, after 150 something episodes, I love for sure. Make sure that you hop on over to the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/The Color of Motion. Unfortunately, and join, become a member. Like I said, the group is definitely growing, so definitely want you to be a part of it for sure. Hey, Miss Maggie, appreciate you tuning in. Hey there. Miss Amanda, how's it going? Thank you for tuning in. Good to see you for sure. I do apologize for the last few episodes not posting or doing the live show from the Facebook group. Actually, like I said, I'm still working out, if you saw a little bit of the test I did the other night, I'm still trying to get that worked out since Facebook you can't stream into your own group or any group through a third-party app. So I've been having to try and get myself together with how to set this up using the stream key and have it be efficient. So that's why I haven't been doing a live in the Facebook group per se, but you can still catch it on the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and the Facebook or the website for the show. So those three places right now, you can check out the show live. Like I said, hopefully within the next week or so, I'll have it back up in the group for sure. But all that to say, like I said, make sure that you join the group, become a member. Like I said, we're sharing industry news, having all kinds of fun, and definitely don't want you to miss out. Like I said, you can also follow us on Instagram/Color of Motion. We post a lot of stuff on there. I'm still kind of debating whether to do a little live streaming from there as well. It's kind of funny on that platform as well. So, but you can see all our posts and pictures. We definitely want you to follow us there. Like I said, Instagram.com/The Color of Motion. Like I said, we are on LinkedIn and all those other channels, but I do always encourage everybody to get plugged into the YouTube channel. That's where you're able to subscribe, hit the bell notification, so that you're notified when we go live and other new content goes up on the channel. You're able to see all the other past great guests that we've had on and all the great content. So definitely that's the hub that I want to get everybody kind of going towards as well. What else? Want to thank today's sponsor for the show. Definitely looking forward to this event. GainsCon is going to be July 11th and 12th out in Vegas. And I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that because I'm going to be doing a special Color of Motion live from the film festival out there. Mr. Barry Gaines puts it on every year, independent sci-fi, horror, and fantasy film festival. So I'm looking forward to doing a remote live stream of the show out there again, July 11th and 12th. It's going to be a fun event. I'm so looking forward to it and can't wait to, remote live stream from there. So definitely keep an eye out for news coming up within the next week or so on that for sure. So, oh man, what else? like I said, I'm so looking forward to this episode. It's been a long time coming for sure. We were talking just before the show. It's been a minute since he's been on. Got a lot of catching up to do with this brother. He was my very third guest on the show. He was the third guest on my show in season 1. And so we've got a lot of catching up to do and a lot more laughing to do for sure. So, with that, I think we can kind of get this show kind of started. What do you say, huh? Wow. Are back and ready to go. Let me make sure. Like I said, you all know the drill. Hop into the comments. Say, hey, where you tuning in from? I always like these episodes and shows to be really interactive and fun. So definitely make sure you jump in and say, hey. All right, my next guest was born in Detroit, Michigan, which I guess is why we hit it off. I'm not from Detroit, but I'm from that area, so we hit it off. He's been working in the animation industry since the year 2014 when he received an internship at Nickelodeon. Through the years, he's worked in production on various shows, movies at studios such as Nickelodeon, DreamWorks, Netflix, Hello Sunshine, Bento Box, Warner Brothers, and so many more. Like I said, he was my third guest on the show, graced me with his presence, and really, like I said, helped to really lay the foundation of this show. Because at that time, I wasn't sure I was going to make it to the 5th episode for sure. So I'm always appreciative of those ones that came on. And a lot's happened since then. 4 years is a long time, so been looking forward to sitting down and catching up with my brother. I always follow the things that's going on with him, but having a conversation, sitting down and having a conversation, I've been looking forward to. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and boy, Mr. James Mosley II.
That's quite an intro, man.
Welcome back, brother. Like I said, it's been a minute. Definitely, our goal, which is always has, but now we're able to really make the guests the stars that they are. So we always have to bring you on in flair and style. So definitely changed since the first.
Yeah, there was a lot of bells and whistles in there. I'm proud of you. That's great.
Oh man, like I said, it's been, and we were talking about this before the show. 2020. You came on third episode, November 21st, 2020. 4 years ago, we were just kind of getting into pandemic and all of that, and like I said, at that time, I wasn't sure I would make it to the 5th episode. And so I was just thankful that people, I was able to make connections and friends, and they would come on and really be a part of the show. So I consider pretty much a lot of the guests from season one like the ones that really laid the foundation for this show, and helped me find my footing and really get comfortable with it. So we just kind of clicked, and I can't thank you enough, James, for coming back on and just chopping it up.
Thanks for having me again. And again, I didn't. The first time I was on, it seemed like you had everything figured out, and it was all very smooth. So hey, you did a great job then, and I think we're gonna have a good show now. So
Oh, for
thank you.
sure, for sure. And I was telling James, I got a little clip that I'm going to show in a few minutes from season the first season. You'll definitely know that it was pretty rough back then. Uh, a lot rougher than now. Like I said, I think really part of what I love about the show is it's live, and so it's a really spontaneous kind of instant connection. But I was at that time, just really learning what the tools. I mean, at that time, I was doing it through StreamYard, through an online platform, which is a great platform, but definitely the camera gear, the setup, was just.
Now that you're talking about it, that is a risky move, like to do it live, and then you're like figuring out. Says a lot that you're still here, John. Like,
Oh man, and trust me, I still have. And trust me, like I said, I still have my moments. My guests can tell you. I've had moments where the power went out at my house, and so I just went out. So I've had my. It lets you. It trains you to be a little more nimble, and I still have, like I said, moments, even recently, where things go wrong. That's why I'm thankful for my guests, because they're really accommodating about things happening. They know it's live, and two, my viewers have gotten accustomed to, and I tell them what happens live, and you learn to roll with it. But I do love this kind of immediate connection of interacting not only with the guests but the viewers, and so. Like I said, it's. I'm super stoked that you're back on. I think at that time you were working with Hello Sunshine. Um,
yeah, 2020. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
I think it
I
was
think I,
Hello Sunshine.
I think I had just transitioned from Netflix to Hello Sunshine at the time.
Yeah, I mean, and well, first, just kind of catch us up with,
Mhm.
you've obviously worked on various amounts of things since the first time that we talked. Just kind of give us a brief catch up of what's been happening with you, James.
Yeah. So I'll try to pick up where I left off. I guess I think 4 years ago, 2020. Still can't believe it was 4 years ago. That's insane. But
What do you say? I'm
but
not
I
gonna comment. Like I said, I had gray hairs then, so you can't tell the difference. When you see the clip, it could be no difference too.
no, you still. I hope I rock the gray that way. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. So you're doing good. Don't worry. I think I think in 2020, like at Hello Sunshine, like what the project that I was on, it was untitled. And then that ended, that got cut short. And then I ended up kind of like catching my feet on a show called Wolf Boy and the Everything Factory
Yeah,
at
yeah,
Bento Box.
yeah,
And it's now I think it's still on Apple. It may be still streamable.
yeah.
Um, but that was a great learning experience. I was a production manager over there, and then I that's when I got the opportunity of a lifetime and started working on Merry Little Batman at Warner Brothers
Yeah.
um, as an associate producer. And then from there, I finished that movie I think last year, and then I've just been doing work with Driver Studios, making like more branded animated shorts content for YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
Well,
kind of yeah.
obviously there's there's been a lot of things that's happened that we're going to dive into in between time. I mean, now AI is the big thing. Then it wasn't. I guess it was there, but it wasn't. It hadn't exploded yet, obviously, like it is now.
Hmm.
And definitely, we were talking about this, before the episode. The work culture is gotten a little rough for artists and finding and getting into places. So obviously, there's a lot of things that's happened over this span since we've talked.
Mm.
Um, how do you how do you think you've gotten better since from when we talked to where you're at now? What are some of the things that has really kind of leveled up with you over that span of 4 years?
Mm. Well, the leveling up definitely came with each opportunity and each title that
Yeah,
was blessed to get along the road. But it's just it's been a change in the way that I work, like really thinking about how I allocate my energy. I think, and what I'm prioritizing, because I feel like the more promotion that you get in your work career, the
yeah,
less you have, it feels, and the more you're in meetings all the time for some
yeah,
reason.
yeah. That's where I'm trying to find this balance. I'd rather not be sitting in meeting after meeting. Yeah, you're better. Some people are cut out for it. Some people enjoy it, but I
It's
can't.
but it's something you have to learn, right? Because it's like
Yeah,
now you can't really be the doer all the time. You have to
yeah,
learn to delegate now, like,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta- and you got to
Well,
think about delegating too. So.
and just to kind of be clear, because I wanted to get clear when we were sitting talking about it. What does a line producer do? What are you kind of responsible for in the span of the pipeline?
hmm That's a really good question. So I'll give a little bit of context, right? Because it might be you may have a different responsibility as a line producer at a major studio as opposed to if you're at a smaller studio and
Yeah,
and you have your hands in more things, right? Like, so from my experience being a line producer, it's been a part of like curating the schedule for a number of shows in the season order that you get, um, figuring out the schedule and the pipeline, and conversing with different people to figure that out, and then you get to figure out the budget. At least that's been my experience. I think at some studios you may get handed like the budget, and have to work within those parameters. Um, but overall, it's felt like having to make sure the needs of the project are fulfilled within that budget, and whether that's and in certain parts of the pipeline, hiring the right people or the right facilities to do the jobs, and then
yeah,
just monitoring and problem solving. You know.
yeah. Well, and like I said, we kind of talked about this a lot during the before the show. This is especially since you're kind of in that position where you're able to see more of the dollar allocation and how things are going on the back end. Is it in the way the industry is? I don't know, and maybe you can give from a kind of insight that they're still doing a lot of production, but then
Hmm.
it seems like on the outside they're not doing a lot of production, which is why it's making the industry so tough to get in now. With this, I think the industry's kind of in this kind of down on kind of this slope phase where people are having a hard time kind of getting into jobs and finding opportunities and things like that. Has production ramped down, or because of budget and just companies putting dollars into projects, or is it do you see it growing, or is it growing to where they are doing more production, or just really selective on the things that they're doing now?
I think you hit the nail on the head at the end of what you just said. Like, I think they've become way more selective, right? As opposed to, like, there's this mantra that I hear across the company landscape, which is uh, quality over quantity now, right?
Mm.
Um, right, and that's subjective, right? Like quality is definitely subjective. But but in the pandemic, right? You remember like the Netflix boom when
Yeah,
everybody was getting jobs and there was like 50,000 shows out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And, even my mom had a job on the production at that point. Right? It's just
Just
like
throw out any old idea and you see it up in there.
right? Because they had the budget, right, and the
Yeah,
allocation. But then I think companies kind of figured out, you need to really like um, have cash flow and actually
yeah,
be profitable. And so now what you're seeing, I think, is a scaling back and a more selection of shows that they're greenlighted
yeah, yeah,
and, and the staff is kind of like scaled back a little bit too
yeah,
for the
yeah. So you're responsible not only for, like I said, what I guess finding the people or that are within that are going to be doing on the project, or is it
Mhm.
allocating to each different department? Okay, you got this budget to find this number of animators. Are you actually picking the individual animators that are going to be working on a project, or people that are going to be working on a project, or do you go say to like the animation supervisor or you know lead
Yeah.
animator and saying, "Hey, we got this project. You got this budget. I mean,
hmm
what workers can you bring in, or who do we have that's going to fit within that budget?" Is that how it kind of goes, or?
Yeah, it depends on the department, right? When it comes to like production staff, like a production coordinator or production manager and things like that, then
Yeah,
I might have a lot of say in that, right? Like I might be able to really like um find like the correct talent for that department. But when it comes to like storyboard or like the more creative side of things, then I do know how much money we have to actually hire somebody.
right.
I think
Yeah,
but I would probably go to like the head of that department and let them know like that we need like a storyboard artist or like a director, and do they have any names, and then you got to get approvals on certain hires like
yeah,
for leadership and stuff like that. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm not doing like the selecting for every department, and that would be crazy if I did. Right, I wouldn't even want a
Oh
storyboard.
man. Well, you were talking about the role would be different versus if you were in a big studio or a smaller studio. Which do you kind of prefer? Do you kind of prefer the smaller one where you're wearing more hats, or the bigger
Mhm.
one where you may be that's just restricted to a certain area or a certain task?
That's a great question, right? So like what I'm saying, what the answer that I give you is gonna sound political, but I promise it's not. I'm a knowledge junkie, right? Like when it comes to animation production, I want to be the best I could possibly be in this, right? So I
Yeah,
would say both, right? Like I want to know what it's like to work at a big studio and get like designated the budget and the work within that. But I also want to know what kind of thinking goes into making that budget too, though. And I
yeah.
need to see like behind the curtain. So I might go to a smaller studio that allows me to do that.
So so what would be from your perspective, the thinking that goes behind the budget within a smaller studio, then I don't know how how big of a studio you've worked at where you've had a good were able to be at that position where you can see kind of the budget and stuff. So what are the kind of
hmm
restrictions that you've seen and noticed when it comes to budget allocating, especially at the
hmm
studios that the size studios that you've kind of worked at?
Yeah, yeah. So I think the higher that you get, right, the more things become more financial, obviously, right? Which means like you deal a little bit more with terms like market. I think, right? What does the market look like for how much are companies really paying for shows,
Mm-hmm.
right? And shows to be made, even with like clients and stuff. And so if the budget is probably too high, you might price yourself out of the market, right? Like with
Yeah.
certain competitors and stuff like that. So I think that kind of thinking is going into what the budget can actually be to propose like a show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and that's my experience so far in my life. But it could my answer might change, 2 to 3 years from now when I have a little bit more experience. Just so you know.
Oh man. Before we, like I said, hey, hello, welcome to everybody just joining in. Like I said, we're catching up with my man James. Number 3 guest ever on the show, coming back and updating us with what's been happening with his life. Like I said, our lives change a lot within 4 years, definitely. And I'm going to show a quick little tip clip from season 1, so you definitely will see how things have changed since then. Before we dive back in. But again, like I said, if you're just tuning in, say hey, where you tuning in from, so I can give you a shout out there. But let's take a quick little look at this, and please be forgiven, everybody. At least for me. At least for me.
Me too. To me too. Please forgive me.
All right, let's take a look. Like I said, date myself. I'm older.
You're 26, Don. What are you talking about? You're not 26?
Yeah, right. Everybody's looking at the gray hairs like, yeah, right. He's 26.
I'm gonna shut up. I'm
A little bit older than that. And I remember, like I said, because, and it's fortunate, and like I said, when I
Wow.
that was so rough, boy. Please
No, it felt okay to me. It honestly felt okay to me.
Oh man, the audio was jacked up, the video was jacked up. I'm not gonna sugarcoat you guys. I would hope I've gotten better over the 4 years, and I can tell the difference.
I think part of that was my camera though, on my end too, though.
Oh man, well that too. Like I said, I didn't have any sense of production or making sure your stuff looked okay.
No, I think you did fine. You know what I kept thinking when I was watching that? I was like, oh man, that is the face of a James that didn't use his brain as much as now. All the things.
You're definitely younger, definitely, and a little greener. I would say much greener a little back then. So,
absolutely, there's no turning back now.
And I had asked you this. Like I said, I didn't recognize him when he logged in, came into the studio because he got a mustache now and he got hair. I was like, "Is this James?"
Right. Had to do a double take, right?
Yeah.
I think I think I'm slowly becoming my father. Like my father rocked a mustache.
That's the way it usually goes. You slowly become your parents.
Yeah.
Oh man. But it brings it to the point and the question of what I asked you earlier before the episode is, do you see yourself? I mean, where did you see yourself? Are you where you are now? Back then, did you see yourself? What did you kind of see yourself, or where did you kind of see yourself 4 years ago, or 4 years when we first did that? Because, like I said, obviously, you were a lot greener in a lot of different areas. Where was your vision of where you thought you would be in 4 years at that time?
Oh, at the time, I thought that I would still be a production manager, right? Um, like I'm a junkie for learning. Like even when it comes to animation production, I'm reading books and all that stuff. And I think at the time I thought that there was a lot more for me to learn, but I was doing so much and learning so much that I would go to the next gig and then I would interview and they'd be like, no, he needs a higher position.
This guy asking all kinds of questions.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what happened, right? But I've always been the type of kid, like I don't want to take the test unless I absolutely know every single answer. Like, and
Yeah.
that's how I was in school. but that's not how careers work, and that's not how jobs work, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So you saw yourself still being a junior producer.
I just
At,
wanted to keep learning being a production
yeah,
manager.
yeah, yeah. Well, well, and that's a good point too, as far as you learning and really being, I guess, studious enough that when you went into an interview, you had questions and
Hmm.
really showed that, hey, he's kind of taking a little extra time that most don't to really ask some really hard, pertinent questions, and deserving a better position. What's kind of the hardest? I mean, is it hard to fit things within you're working on this production, fit things within that budget? You're the one that's kind of allocating kind of where the money is going, and how
Hmm.
much money is going to go towards this and go towards that. Is it as hard of a puzzle putting together as it seems?
At times, right? Because every show is different, and just so you know, like, I'm not just in a room like in a vacuum coming up
Yeah,
with, like, everybody's like, I'm getting feedback from people. I'm like running it up the chain for approval and negotiating stuff. But yeah, at times, right? Like, if you have like a CG show, like, that's so many episodes, like, you kind of have to, and if there's a certain budget, that the studio can actually do, then yeah, you have to like go back and forth with like higher ups and try to figure out how to like have the
yeah,
right positions, the most necessary positions for the right amount of money, right? Like, and yeah, it can be a bit of a puzzle. And then you're dealing with schedules too. All of that stuff is like tied, by
yeah,
string. You pull
yeah.
one string, then one thing changes, right?
Changes, yeah, pulls the thread on something else for sure.
I-
Um,
It, it's tiring. It's mentally
like I said, well, I guess it's I would hope they pay you the big bucks for that, but that, trust me, is much. Some people have a knack for it. Like you said, you're just a
tiring.
information junkie,
Yeah.
and some people are good at really organizing and moving things around. Other people, like myself, have to work a little harder at it. So,
Yeah, but I think there's also, I'm a little OCD as well.
yeah.
Like, so it could either be, it's a strength, but it can also drive you to madness. So you have to be aware of that.
Well, I'm curious now because, like I said before, when we first did the episode in 2020, AI wasn't near in the news and going on like it is now. How has it have you seen it during this 4 years that since we talked, and it's all in a lot of different areas? Has it kind of touched your position and where you're at, or what have you seen on just if it hasn't, what have you been kind of watching on the kind of perimeter style of just different positions and things?
Yeah. So well, I see it. I see it a little bit. It's coming really fast. So that's
Really?
why I'm so hard, right? That's why I'm trying to catch my breath. But I've seen it. In like post departments. Like, I've seen like sounds for sound effects
Oh
that you
man,
would
yeah,
think of, like, and it can just spit out like, you tweak a couple parameters, like maybe
yeah,
you want in the sound a little sharper or something like that,
yeah,
and the sound effects AI could just do it, right? Like, so I've seen it in that regard, and I've seen it. I think that's so far the only place I've seen it, but I know
yeah.
it's.
Well, it's especially on the kind of creator artist end. Obviously, I've talked with a lot of people that feel one way or another towards it. Like I said, I look at it as a tool,
Exactly.
and just trying to figure out. But I understand the kind of the legalities that come along with it, copyrights, rights and things like that. So I still feel it's got a long way to go in some
Hmm.
areas. Obviously, the technology of it is going by leaps and bounds. Um, And a lot of people are fearful that, just like traditional artists were when 3D came out, they feel like they're going to get kind of pushed out of the way, or job, especially with the industry kind of going through its little time right now,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like AI is contributing to studios wanting to go the cheap route or try and figure out how can we use AI to kind of cut these roles down and this and that. So you can kind of see where how it does kind of play on some people's kind of work cycle and
Yeah.
where they feel like their career is going to go with that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't know if it was like things that you keep in your mind as you're doing a job. Not that it's maybe the thing that you use or this and that. And obviously, the industry is really trying to hold itself up and support each other. And I won't say banned against it because, like I said, I feel like AI is this genie that's not going back in the bottle. So how do you use it, but yet
Mm-hmm.
still let? I still feel like, regardless of AI or whatever tool, it still falls into the hands of a actual person that's creative about whether it's story writing or whether it's video or motion graphics. It's still going to come down to this level of human creativity that AI just it can only do what you tell it to do. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and I hope so. On a grand scheme of
How?
things, I think it's something I think about every day. Like as a producer, like I'm always trying to think at what point does AI intersect in an animation pipeline, whether it's CG or 2D, right? And
Yeah.
then what does it look like for it to be a tool, like rather than completely replacing? I don't know much about the topic right now. I'm doing a lot of like experimenting, but what I hope is, I hope there's legislation that can contain this thing and keep it as a tool, right?
Yeah. I'm hopeful too. Like I said, it's gonna take a little time. I would figure for that. But you know, my thought is that it's a tool, but like any tool, there's always going to be people that use a tool the wrong way, and there's always going to
Right,
be people that use a tool the right way. So,
right.
whether they legislate it or not, or put it, and I hope they do, because like I said, there is a lot of legalities that go along with it.
Mm.
And not just in art, in so many other, AI is touching everything, not just the art and animation industry. It's touching politics. It goes into a lot of different stuff.
No, it totally does. It totally does. And I will say though, I don't think it could ever truly replace like the essence of a
Yeah.
human art, right? Because I saw like this. Have you heard about this Chinese film? I think it's like Train to Paris or something. It's like the first AI
Is it-
uh, film, and when I looked at that, I said, okay, all right, so maybe we do have a chance.
Well, the funny thing is, and like I said, I don't know if you like when it first came out or when it was first starting to become a craze. Corridor Crew did a test. They're this
Hmm.
visual effects company, Corridor Crew. They post a lot of stuff on YouTube, and they talk about visual effects and that type of thing. And they wanted to see if they could create a fully 2D animated kind of anime style. Well, it's not
Mhm.
really anime, uh, but 2D style animation using AI.
Mm.
So to give them, but they still shot the footage. They shot the scenes live, but then they ran it through AI to make it 2D. And they wanted to see how well it would come out, And it was a pretty, obviously the story drives it. It was a pretty decent
Right.
little short, and it had a funny little story to it. Um, and the 2D cell animation that it did was passable. I think the average person probably wouldn't have picked up on, like, some of the little things that a seasoned animator would pick up on. And what
Mm.
you call him? Oh man, he does a lot of content. He's a former animator from Disney. He does a lot of training now. Shoot, I
I
can't think of his name,
want to
but
say, I want to
uh, he
some
did
people.
Brother Bear. He did Brother Bear. He animated or directed Brother Bear for Disney. Real well known 2D animator that's worked for Disney.
Oh,
Um, and he does like training now. He sells like training courses on animation and stuff now. And does
okay.
little freelance stuff. Oh man.
I know.
Um,
I wish I knew his name off the top of my
I,
head.
and anybody, if you remember it, please throw it in the comment. But anyway, he did a review of the 2D, the AI 2D short, because he wanted to do a post and say, "Am I afraid of AI?" And you know, do I think AI is going to replace me?
Mm,
And he basically said no.
mm,
Because like I said, he said while it was good, he could pick out the little nuances, of just the motion of characters and the flickering and things like that.
mm.
So that's why I say it still has a long way to go. And like I said, I still don't think it'll take that nuance of the creator crafting the characters, the depth of the characters, or the
Right.
depth of the animation. There's still this element I feel like is always going to have this human touch
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
AI just isn't going to be able to to do. Maybe in some years down the line, but I still think AI, like I said, it's you got to put in the prompts to
Right.
to
Right.
make
Like
it
you
what it
still got
is. So
stuff
if
to
you
put in
don't have an understanding of design or understanding of the principles of animation, doesn't matter what you type in, it's gonna spit out what you type in, and all those little fine details in
there.
between is what's gonna really dictate whether or not it's really gonna replace a person that can actually hand animate and really, you know, uh, do the
Yeah.
nuances of a character.
I'm always kind of thinking like, are there going to be like prompt animators, like prompt AI animators, where they just like
They'll
sitting
probably
at a
be wanting to, and it's funny. Uh, uh, One of my guests came on, and he was, I think it was, uh, he was doing like portfolio reviews, and he said he was going through portfolio, and one of the guys, all his portfolio was AI stuff. I'm like, I'm like, that's not the position. Unless the physician's an AI animator or AI person, they're gonna want you to draw and be able to animate.
you, and I think that's scary too, though, right? Like, because I've heard of stories. I forget. I was talking
Yeah,
to somebody,
there are
and they
people
told
trying to pass off their portfolio, and it's just all AI artwork.
and but some of them are actually fronting though. Some of them are actually like, yeah, I drew that, like at
Yeah,
family.
that's the thing, and that's what gets me, or got me. I don't. It doesn't quite bother me as much as it used to, but you would get people, like I said, when it first came out, they put out this AI artwork and call themselves an artist, and I'm like, no, just because you can type in something doesn't mean you understand the principles of design, the
Right.
principles of animation, or understand that. So that's what got me. You got a lot of people that they just use AI and they call themselves an artist, and it's like, well, now that negates the people that have spent years crafting being an artist,
And there's
type
a
of thing.
difference. There's
There
definitely
is
a
a difference. But obviously, like I said, there are going to be people that use this thing the wrong way or try to get over. And I think a seasoned person could, and like he said, as I looked at it, I could tell it was AI, art. It's, it's getting harder, but, that's why I say I don't think it ever take away that true artist eye that can pick off the small little fine details of what makes, something really good.
absolutely. I feel like I'm thinking like 15 years from now, like it's gonna be, you know how they have like cage free eggs like in the grocery store? I feel like they're gonna have like made by human movies, like in the future. I
Oh
always
man,
feeling
and then,
like,
but you got, like I said, then you got some companies that are kind of trying to take the steps of blocking it. Like, okay, we don't accept, like, publishers will say, okay, we don't accept AI, anything written with AI or anything like that. So you got the ones that's, I guess, trying to keep it reined in because
yeah,
they know, like I said, and not to say, like I said, AI is it's a tool. It's a great tool to use to get ideas and things like that, ideate
yeah.
and kind of get a layout or something. But
I got a question for you. I don't want to like, if you got to move
no,
on from the topic, I
no,
understand.
no. This is a conversation, bro. Go ahead.
Okay. What do you feel about the tool Sora?
It's got potential. I think it's
Because
got potential. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's like there yet. That's just gonna, you know, totally replace because it still has its functions, but it's a tool that's come a long way. It does a lot of great things, for sure.
that one
Um,
scares me. I got to
yeah,
be honest with that
it's
one.
scary how it is, but again, like I said, I think even with that tool, it takes a true artist behind it to really unleash what it really could be as a
Mhm.
tool, and they don't know to use it to speed up certain things, or if they're a true creative and they can't animate or they can't do that, but they can ideate an idea or they can formulate
Mm,
an idea. I think it can, definitely help them as a person that can't draw or can't animate, but they're creative enough to write out a story,
wow.
as opposed to nobody just like my sister or anybody that can put in a prompt, but still being respectful to the ones that, like I said, have spent years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn this skill and this craft and be good at it. And I want to
I
make
don't,
sure I throw some comments up in here. Uh, Miss Amanda, most of the artists I've worked with in the past have now left the industry because of this. I
mm.
guess AI, like I said, it's making it rough on a lot of people. James, what do you think the future of film production will be like with the introduction of AI? And that's kind of what I was saying as far as
Yeah.
our production companies looking at how can we leverage AI to lessen the workforce or make this step shorter or this process easier.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll speak specifically to animation, right? Like, because I think what's currently happening, I think they're currently like I see it more with independent companies right now, and
Yeah.
smaller companies or people who are just making films themselves, right? But they're kind of incorporating AI in like the development process right now because I think that's what it's ready for right now. So I think as film production goes on, I think they'll probably use like AI to generate like different styles and looks and stuff. And then I think they'll probably have like artists springboard off of that foundation that the AI provides. And then there's things I also think about, right? Just my opinion. I think they're probably like incorporated in certain parts of the pipeline, like lip sync, for example, right? I used to
Yeah.
animate when I was, oh Lord, I used to animate.
Like I said, I'd much
Like,
rather have an AI tool do it. For,
no, I used to make short films like for YouTube, right? And I would get to the lip sync part and I'd be like, why am I sitting here doing these mouth shapes? It was so painstaking. So I think it'll be introduced in like those menial tasks like that, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, like I said, I definitely would use it when it's called for. Like I said, I love Adobe Sensei because trust me, I would much rather have it auto select a character than me spend the time right doing a
wait, what
pass.
is that?
Well, like Sensei is Adobe's AI. So like now, you can it does a great job of like their AI tools like expanding the background of an image and it just calculates it. So say I have like, which I've done for some images, you know, you got a crop picture, you can just extend it and it'll automatically create a background that, or versions of a background that match. And it does a very good job of it, replacing the background or adding things like that, or like picking a person out of a picture and making a selection of that person. So it's all AI tools. Adobe's AI tools are great tools. They speed the process up along. Like if you're doing rotoscoping, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to hand,
Uh,
you don't have to hand rotoscope something anymore. The Sensei tool, the auto rotoscoping in After Effects or Premiere does a pretty good job, or the tools now, they do pretty good jobs for the most part. But that's what I mean when it makes a tedious process that's long, or it's going to take you a while, much easier. Um,
e- exactly, and I think that that's another example of my cohesive answer for Amanda, right?
yeah.
Like it's things like that where the artist I think will be able to just pull that out off
Yeah,
their on.
yeah, it does. Like I said, After Effects, auto rotoscoping tool is pretty, and pretty much the
Yeah.
newer ones. They're getting better. All of them are getting better. Some are better than others at selecting, but man, it sure takes the headache out of rotoscoping. You got something. You got like 2 or 3 minutes worth of an animation or a film in rotoscoping. It could definitely give you a much bigger head start than you trying to rotoscope stuff out, yourself.
Absolutely. And I don't want to come off like I have blind optimism about this topic, right? Like
Yeah,
I obviously I think there's going to be companies that go, we could just we could just use AI for the whole film. Like I think there are going
yeah.
to be companies like that.
And unfortunately, I think they are, and on some, I think there have some that have tried. Let me see. Let me throw this in here, Amanda. Uh, the problem is studios are trying to cut corners, which I
Mhm.
get with outsourcing the AI. Digital artists are being replaced. So many studios have closed in LA. The industry is seriously fragmented. And like I said, I think there are a lot of studios that are gonna try and cut corners because obviously for them the bottom line is this going to make dollars, and is this going to be profitable for us? Now,
Mhm.
whether it's ethical, that they're cutting out, using AI to kind of cut out things. I don't
But I
know. Like
think
I said, I guess it's the choice of the studio, but I think they'll find that the product is not as good.
I think it's going to show, right?
Yeah,
Like
the
I
quality
think
is going to show.
absolutely. And I think with any kind of new phenomenon, like in human history, whether
Yeah.
it's ideas or technology, right? The pendulum usually swings very far.
When it first comes out, then it takes a
And then it levels back like a little bit. And I think that's kind of the period that we're in right now, right?
yeah.
Like, so yeah, it's not a great time right now, right? But I think things will even out soon.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know. I kind of like to think that as a creator, it is kind of a great time because you got a lot of these tools out
Mm,
here that do make things easier.
true.
And while it's still kind of rough if you're trying to get into a studio or trying to get jobs or stuff like that, we are in this time now where we have even 4 years ago where we have a lot more avenues of tools,
Mm,
software outlets, more channels, TikTok, all these channels that we got now, all these places to fund it, Kickstarter if we have an idea. So we got all these avenues and things ahead of us or in front of us if we want to create something while it's, still hard to get into, a job or like I think I was saying, I think those days of working for a company 30, 40 years and trying to make it to retirement are gone. you know, and the way that it seems like studios, especially animation or film studios, are working are they're ramping up and down as projects require them to. So they're not really hiring or keeping a staff, a large amount of people on full time. They'll just
Hmm.
have a core and then contract as the project needs, and that's, it's a hard life for some people to be in nomad going from project to project or trying to get in from studio to studio. I mean, how have you, or
Hmm.
for the most part, have you been pretty stable through these 4 years
Hmm.
working, at a studio for a while, long enough, and you may have had something in the pipeline or kind of on the plate when you did make that transition?
Mm. Well, not all the time. I think throughout that 4 years.
Like I said, there was a few times in there.
Yeah, there's a few times I was like, I don't know, I might have to go out of the country for a job. There was a point after I think Hello Sunshine where I almost
Wow.
went to Ireland. Like
Really?
almost went to Ireland. And I
But
had a
you had an opportunity in Ireland, or were you just like,
was an
okay,
opportunity. Yeah, I wasn't just going out there as a brother just trying to figure it out.
let me
No.
try and wing it. Let me try and wing it over in Ireland.
I am not a winged guy at all. I'm very calculated.
Oh man. Oh, but you didn't have any like long gap in between. You always kind of had something relatively soon within the
Yeah,
pipeline, or were there, you
it
know,
honestly, Don, I think I was just twice I was lucky, I think, right? Like I feel like it was luck. Other people would say, that my resume helped.
yeah,
Um, but it doesn't feel that way when you were in my if you were in my shoes at the time. It felt
yeah,
like it dropped from the sky, right? Like I happened to land on my feet at Bento Box after Hello Sunshine. But I think like 3 weeks had went by or
uh-huh.
something like that where I wasn't employed. Um, and then I think just recently after Warner Brothers, I was unemployed for about 3 weeks, and then I just happened to get an
Yeah.
opportunity and my name out there towards Driver Studio. So it
So
hasn't always been an easy.
yeah, but in between that time, you're not like waiting. You're kind of actively calling people to say, "Hey, what you got going on?" Or, "Hey, I'm in. I have this opportunity to do work now." Or you're not sitting trying to wait to see if somebody, like I said, remembers your name or a project comes out. You're actively working your connections of who you know.
Absolutely. And now I got a mouth to feed, Now I got a dog, right? He's looking at me like, "How we gonna eat?" So I'm
Yeah, he said, if you're gonna be homeless, you can take me back to the.
right. He's like, he's probably looking at my friends who are employed, like, "Hey, you need to maybe I should go live with them."
Yeah,
So,
they look like they got something steady going on.
no, totally. No,
Oh,
that to your point, like I'm hustling like every time, like in between.
I have a feeling there's a fun animation in there.
Right. I feel like it would do numbers too. So many people have dogs that are just living off of them. So,
And like, well, hey man, our livelihood depends on you. You need to be out doing something.
right, exactly. So I couldn't even sit there if I wanted to. He'd be like jumping on me, telling me
Oh
to.
man. Well, what are the? I mean, like I said, you've worked on a lot of different stuff. What's the type of animations and projects one that you're finding a lot more satisfaction doing, and then what are the types of projects that are you see being greenlit that maybe shouldn't, or you
Mhm.
know maybe they're not ready for?
Well, yeah. Well, the kind of projects that I get satisfaction working on, I think, are those projects that have like a style you haven't really seen in the ecosystem lately, right? Like
Yeah,
it was very satisfying working on Merry Little Batman because everything's been CG and stuff, and if it was 2D, they kind of
yeah,
had like that even universe look.
yeah.
Um, And so Merry Little Batman was such a deviation to that. Like, and I was like, it felt like we had a huge purpose at the time. Um, and but what I see green lit right now, it feels like a lot of sequels and reboots are. I
Yeah.
know Miger just came out just blatantly recently and said, "Hey, we leaning on sequels, like for the studio, you know." And
And do you feel like that's just a safety net for most studios, or they're not really willing to go out on a limb on these kind of unknown, IPs or ideas and things like that? And does that play into the fact that independent, like kind of like what I was just mentioning, independent now creators now have their opportunity to tell their own stories, whereas through their own channels and build their own following, whereas a lot of studios seem to be, like you said, doing kind of rehashing these
Mhm,
old ideas and things like that, to where they're
mhm.
not really willing to take that leap to these out of just out of left field styles, animation and stories and things.
Yeah, I think these companies trying to make their money back, and that's like their best bet, right? Because if they can redo something that was somewhat successful before, I think that's the theory, right? It doesn't always pan out like when they have a sequel,
Well, I
it
mean,
may it
Fast and
bombs.
Furious 9, and I mean, after a while, you know,
Right? Yeah, I haven't really. I think I stopped watching Fast and Furious. I think after the second one. I
I
think,
don't even think I watched it unless they
but
come on.
somebody
But I
still paying.
mean, like
Somebody still
now,
paying. Didn't Fast and Furious 10 do like 300 or something at the box
yeah,
office?
that's what I can't figure out. I mean, Jesus, is it really? Am I missing something? Is it that good or what? Get to 10.
No, I mean when I see that, right, my personal opinion said I think there is a 10 by the way. That just
There
popped in my
is the Fast and Furious 10.
That's great. I think
Oh
what
man,
I talk with my buddy Max a lot about about slates, right? Like me and him just kind of talk about slates. He's a writer. He was working at Disney and he does a bunch of other stuff now. But I always feel like there needs to be like a balance between like a financially secure amount of projects mixed with originals, right? Because then that's how you get the new next big
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
But I don't know what these companies' pocketbooks are looking like, though. You know?
Holy moly! Like I said, I mean, I get wanting to make money and stuff like that, but I don't
Hmm.
know. I think I had this conversation before with I think one of my guests is there are some things that you just should leave alone and not touch after one, because I haven't even watched. Looks kind of bad, but I haven't even watched the new Jefferson or
Oh boy, the good times.
the new Good Times. It's like, oh
Ooh.
man, that's what hurts my head. They got money to just drop on stuff like that. There are so many other there's so many other much better things they could be doing. You know.
Yeah, that was. Oh man, yeah, that series I think is. I haven't seen the episode yet. I haven't. Didn't it come out recently?
Yeah, it's. I think it's out now on net. Is it Netflix
Okay.
or Hulu? It might be Hulu. One of those two, but it's out now. I haven't watched. I think it's Hulu because I don't have Hulu. I probably would have watched it if it was on Netflix. So maybe somebody in the chat could kind of clarify. Either way, whoever it's on, it's just it doesn't.
I think I have to watch it to really like give my opinion, but I think that I can understand the uproar behind it though,
Yeah,
right?
and somebody said it doesn't even follow the actual show. The actual Good Time show. The characters are just totally different and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah, so maybe it should be like a completely different name
yeah,
or
like
something.
a completely different thing. And I'm like,
That's a good
sometimes I
point.
have to scratch my head to what studios, some of the stuff that studios greenlight and just
Yeah,
put
'cause you
money
don't.
behind. You know?
Yeah, because I mean, it to be a fly on the wall, right? When it's first pitched, like
Yeah.
how amazing did it sound versus the product that
I I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how well you'd have to have the original cast back on pitching something for it to be amazing. Then have somebody come in talking about, we can make this good. Now, like I said, just some things just leave alone, and some things you just
I agree.
aren't meant to be. Because I was thinking this about, like you said, I'm a big comics. I love comic strips. And
Yep.
so I have a big respect for Sam Waterston, who created Calvin and Hobbes.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't let any animated series, any type of movies, any type of products, were not sanctioned by him. So anything you see, Calvin and Hobbes is bootleg, because he didn't want, everything was all about the comic strip. So he didn't want it. He didn't want the essence of what he thought the comic strip should be to be distorted by, like I said, animated movies or products or things like that. So he lost out on millions and millions and millions of dollars of what he could have made from just the merchandising, because he didn't allow it. So some things just, the creator just in its purest form should just be left alone. It just, just kind of ruins the, ruins the whole flavor of it.
Yeah, it's like the essence of it, right? Like you're trying to preserve the essence.
It really is, and it was kind of the same way with Bloom County. I love Bloom County by Burt Breathitt, with the Penguin. Penguin Opus was one of the characters. It kind of slid on humor and political. He was almost like a political cartoonist, but it was a really slick and funny. The characters were great and stuff. And then they came out with like a animated Christmas special with it. I'm like, oh man, this really kills the comic strip for me.
It felt like
it just didn't translate over to it. And now maybe if it gotten into, it had a better script and was more thought out, maybe it could have done well. But it's easy to, like I said, really taint an original thing when it's not really done with the same kind of reverence or respect that the original has, which is why, like I said, I think some of the Marvel movies have done well, because the director and the writer, they're true fans of the character. So they made it like it kind of fit within their ethos of what the character should be like,
Yeah.
As opposed to if it got to somebody that really wasn't a fan, which you can kind of tell, you can look at somebody. I don't know if you bring in Val Kilmer as Batman. I don't know if you really had or George Clooney as Batman. I don't know if you really have a great understanding of the character in the comics. So that's what I mean.
And that's a good example, though, of like, because I was watching like the history of like Warner Brothers at one point, and that's a good example of like when you try something new with a property and it just doesn't pan out as well as you thought it would with George Clooney.
Well, you have to have a true lover of the medium.
Yeah,
that really understands where it is that it came from to really put the right spin on it. Otherwise, it really could turn out badly, and lose a lot of money. So, I mean,
there you go.
I don't know.
No,
so hopefully, like I said, hopefully, the guy that used to run Marvel, now he's over at DC.
Wait, is it Kevin
Gunn? No. James Gunn. Gunn. He's running. Him and another guy is running DC. Now they're true fans of comics, so hopefully he can, really. They got a lot of catching up to do with, Marvel, but hopefully he can bring some trueness and some real grit to the DC characters in the DC world. But you have to be a really good fan.
Did you see Blue Beetle?
Nah, I didn't see it, so it didn't look too good. Didn't look too good. But
that's why I was asking, because I thought maybe this would support what you theorizing.
He just got into it, so I'm giving him a little time to kind of get things going. Okay. Like I said, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, because they got rid of James Cavill as Superman, which I thought he did I thought he was a really good Superman.
Henry
Next to
Cavill.
Christopher Reeve, he was probably the second best one I kind of like. All the other ones didn't really do it for me. But
I wasn't a fan of like Henry Cavill being removed. That is Superman to me.
yeah, and
That's
see, that's what I say. He really, in essence, kind of embodied the Man of Steel for me. So it'll be
yep.
interesting to see how where he takes it and how he's gonna do. Now, the Batman, I've seen it. It's interesting. It's a little different take on the Batman. Robert Pattinson's The Batman
I saw that one.
versus Christian Bale and some of the other ones.
Yeah,
It was a little grittier, obviously, a little more grimier, grittier Batman.
it was. And him
But
as Batman, it made sense to me because he was like a younger one, right? Like,
he,
and I felt like he was supposed to be younger.
yeah, he's supposed to be younger. Um, like I said, I mean, it was. And guys, please jump in and help me out with this. What you thought it was, because I mean, like I said, I think I'm so used to and you have to be depending on what kind of fan you are, how long you follow the comics and stuff. I wasn't really into Batman as I was say like Spider-Man or some of the other ones, or like
Mm,
the X-Men characters, that type of thing. But as far as just his personality and how how I knew Batman, he was really a kind of dogged, tormented person that was kind of vigilante style, but he had a dark history. It kind of played into that, Like I said, it's totally different when you get like a George Clooney in it and just or a Val Kilmer, and it just doesn't. There's this disconnect of the characters. I don't know.
is it because when you see George Clooney, it feels like he hasn't been through anything? Is that what it is?
That might be it. It just I don't know. It was a real campy Batman. It even like I said, Tim Burton's Batmans were way better than that because I
Wow.
thought, like I said, I thought Michael Keaton, despite the fact that he was really known for comedy and stuff like that, I thought he played Bruce Wayne really well. You
Oh
know,
wow. Well,
yeah.
you'll probably hate me because I like Christian Bale the most.
Well, I think Christian Bale's took it up. I think he played a grittier, you know, obviously Tim
Yeah.
Burton's he's got this kind of Dr. Seuss type of feel to it. I mean,
Right.
in his style in his style of filmmaking. So I think that Batman was really stylized
Yep.
and really kind of almost like a higher quality of the TV show. It was campy, but it was still really good. It was campy like the TV show was, but
Yeah.
only in its style, kind of Dr. Seuss futuristic kind of style. But
Still.
I thought Michael Keaton played it really well. But I think for the grittier, like real Batman, Christian Bale kind of started taking it to that, okay, really, really that dark kind of Batman. I think Michael Keaton's was still kind of lighthearted in its own little way. I mean,
Yeah.
even like uh, uh, what you call him's Joker was campy, but it was still really good.
Oh, I
Who played
forgot
the
who the
Joker in
actor.
that?
I
Damn.
only know Heath Ledger the most. I like Heath Ledger.
Well, that's what I mean. Heath Ledger, what you call him, played a really good Joker. God, who's the actor? He goes to all the Laker games. I think he just passed. Um,
Oh shoot! Did anybody in the comments know? I can't even.
Shoot, I can't think. He's a real well-known actor.
It wasn't
Somebody
Jack,
help me.
right?
Uh,
I
but
don't
he
want to
did a
sound.
good Batman. Or not a good Batman, but he did a good Joker.
Okay.
But I think Heath Ledger took Joker to the real, gritty,
Right.
psychopathic Joker that most people are aware of. So,
Right.
but again, like I said, you have to be. It wasn't. It wasn't. Well, I think I even liked his Joker. Joaquin Phoenix did the recent
Oh
Joker, but it
yeah.
wasn't Joaquin Phoenix in Tim Burton's Joker. I can't think of his. Golly, he played in. He played in Easy Rider. He played in The Shining.
Oh, was it Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson. He
Really?
played the
Oh,
Joker.
okay.
Yeah, he played the Joker in Tim Burton's Joker. Jack Nicholson, and he did a really good job, even though it was kind of still campy, like the TV Caesar Romero
Yeah.
Joker. It was still a little campy, but it fit within Tim Burton's kind of style of how he was doing the movie.
Oh,
His
if you
his
put it
movie wasn't like really like just gritty dark. It was dark, but it was had this kind of humor
yeah,
to it, you know,
a
not
little,
like uh, Christopher Nolan's, dark, true dark, Batman kind of feel.
yeah,
And I think, like I said, Christian Bale's did a great job with Batman, and Heath Ledger did an amazing job with the Joker. Um,
yeah. I like his the most, man. I gotta go with that. The Joaquin Phoenix one just feels a
that
little.
was good. I think he did a good job because Joaquin kind of gets into his roles, and he really, I mean,
You get
I
into it.
could see he could play a really psychotic. He really kind of played it. He played it well, to where it showed the progression of Joker going insane,
Yeah,
type of thing, and
vulnerability.
how he runs from insanity. So
Yeah.
all of that to say,
Hmm.
some studios kind of, like I said, they don't really want to work. You have to be a true fan if you're going to remake things, and find a true fan of the original, whether it be a comic book or the characters or whatnot. The same could be said with
That's the,
Deadpool. When
yeah.
Deadpool first came out on X-Men, he wasn't the Deadpool that that's out now. And when you get true fan like Ryan Reynolds was of Deadpool, and you get a director that allows him to be the true character, what Deadpool is, it makes for a great movie. That's why he
That's the kind of,
bombed, even though he played the same character on Wolverine, because they just didn't play it the right way and play the
uh,
character true to himself. So,
huh? Noted for the future.
um, so there's a
It's-
lot. I guess there's a lot that goes into, like I said, when you're laying out and kind of picking the budget for things and what can be allowed with this and that. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's different between live action and animation. I mean, have you done live action production to
no,
where? Okay,
not yet in my career, but who knows though? I don't know where this life will take me.
well, uh, let's throw some comments in there because, like I said, they've been coming through. I mean, Mr. DeVito, the Good Times remake is horrible. Yeah,
There you
obviously
go. Now,
DeVille didn't like it, but I don't even think
yeah,
it's, like I said, I don't even think it's a remake, because the characters aren't even like the characters from the television show. So
yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, I'm definitely not a fan of like how it portrays like men of color, like people of color, like
yeah,
men and
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was
you know.
bad enough in the TV show. It's just worse in the animation. I mean, of course, the TV show, like I said, it underscored the struggles that we were going through living in the projects, but that was bad
But there was
enough.
still like a positive message in it,
But
though. I
yeah,
felt.
even within that, there was a positive message. They had a father until they messed it up, you know. Which, that's how the politics of movies and dollars go, man.
Right. No, totally, totally. And then you wonder, on the outside, you don't see that obviously, but
Yeah, on the outside, you don't see all of that stuff, but in the inside, like I said, they're fighting with the writers, and man, we don't say that, and all this kind of stuff. So,
exactly. But what do you think about the style of that Good Time show though? Because the style, I've never seen a style like that, like the animation style and everything.
well, like I said, I think it's the style of it is good. It's just obviously, and that's the beauty of animation. It could be anything. If there's a
Mhm.
good story behind it or a good narrative behind it, it could take the simplest of things,
That's a
and
good
it's
point.
done well. Um, I saw one. He was another former another former animator with Disney, 2D animator with Disney, and he did a little separate project, and he put it to music. And the
Hmm.
song is called "Thought of You." I always love it, watching it too. It's a beautiful song for some reason. But the animation is just 2D drawings,
Hmm.
fluid 2D drawings, and it's done really well. Yeah, if you look up "Thought of You" on YouTube, it'll pull it up. Um,
You.
and the,
Okay.
and the animator is named something Ryan or Ryan something, and he was an
Oh,
animator. Like I said, he used to be a 2D animator on with Disney, but the drawings are just simple line drawings. But the way he animated it, and he has a behind the scenes making of it. You know, he referenced real ballet dancers to get the movement down. And probably wanted, like I said, but that just lets you know that even simple drawings can be can make great animations. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as like a 3D or something like that. I always think the story is going to drive it, but
that's a,
it's a
yeah,
great
story.
style. It's a great style. You just wish they put a good story behind it, but you know,
Right.
or
Right. I guess I'm trying
if
to find some positive.
any of you can find a positive in there, let me know. I haven't.
Oh Lord, don't hate me for that comment because maybe there's not a positive. Yeah, I think for me, like I just you probably gonna laugh at me, but the older I get, right, the more I'm like, okay, what's the essence behind this, and what is the outlook? Like, what's the window that we giving to people?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I
and the
mean, from a production side, where like I said, you see more of the path that the dollars are going, and you know you're kind of more in privy to the money behind it.
hmm
Is that, like I said, is that kind of the driving force where they're trying to save as much money as they can and try and
mm,
cut corners, like maybe Amanda said, a lot of studios are cutting corners. Is
hmm
that kind of the narrative? Not saying that
yeah,
Driver or some of the other studios that you work at, but thinking
just
why
like in
they want to go a safe route with, like I said, Kung Fu Panda 4 or 5, and that type of thing, or try and go
yeah,
the direct to streaming route or whatever it may be, as opposed to they're trying to do these things on the cheap as cheaply as they can,
hmm
um, and yet still try and find these things that are gonna make money. You know.
yeah. I think like when I look at the landscape in general, right? I feel like we're in a point like I'm looking at the economy first of all, and the economy ain't the best that it's ever been right now. And so the same way we're affected, I think these companies are affected, like in terms of like money loss and all of those things. So I think in this period, I think there are a lot of companies like trying to find like the cheapest way to make something so that they can have a huge return on their investment, right?
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with film and art, it's hard. It's hard to make that a guaranteed outcome.
Yeah. Well, can you make it? Is it possible to even make it a guaranteed outcome? I mean, it is kind
Yeah.
of always the spin on the draw. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't know.
I think you can get close, right? Like for the most part, but I don't think the answer is always a sequel or like a reboot.
Well, for
You know,
sure.
you could do focus groups, right? Like you could like ask questions
Oh
for
man. Well, and like I said, I think to a certain point, because obviously, uh, the story behind it is going to make a huge difference. Obviously, Pixar's done it.
hmm
What did they Toy Story? Toy Story 4, which was pretty good. I mean,
I
I think it was Toy Story.
thought it was track. I thought it was like I thought there was a five coming out at
Is
one
there? It
point.
might be. It might be. Um, and I think, well, like I said, at some point you kind of start to stretch it. I don't know. Like I said, even a great company like Pixar can have like I said, you have
You
to
can get
put
lost.
the story behind it. Um,
I mean, there was one point, right, when they, I
I,
mean,
I thought
forgive
The
me if I'm,
Incredibles 2 was good,
I
and
thought Incredibles 2 was good. Yeah.
like I said, obviously, Brad Bird did 2 and did 1, so he was familiar with it. And I think, going from character to character, as long as the story is good and can be done in an engaging way. But would you say you would be open for a Soul 2 or, some things are just, like I said,
My
characters are
point,
relatable that can be taken into more stories.
yeah, you can do it the right way if you want to go that route, like you're saying, right? But my personal opinion is story is king, right? I just feel like story is king from the dawn of time. Like a good story would attract people,
Oh yeah,
whether it's
yeah.
over in caves or on the in the camp around the campfire, right? Like, but I feel like you can apply that logic to something new too, right? You can have a new story that's good as well too, you
Well, do
know?
you feel like streaming has played a role in, just the
Mm,
amount of content? Because, like I said, now, and I kind of had this conversation before, a lot of studios are trying to go towards serialized things that they can take into 3, 4, 5, 6
hmm.
season, episodes and seasons. And do you feel like, streaming platforms like Netflix that are looking for more things that people can binge watch and watch on a more ongoing basis, as opposed to those one time
Mm.
animations, or one time things that may or may not develop into, another season?
I'm sure that plays a role in it, right? Like whether they can get a lot of content out of something, um, in this time of high demand for content. Um, I think that plays a role in it, but I don't think that affects whether they're gonna do like a Good Times too, for example, right?
No, yeah, they still find them. I don't know. I guess it comes down to the decision makers, obviously, the ones that say, I think this would be a good idea, you know?
Right. Totally. But you could come to the table with a new original idea and say, this could go over like three chapters. A good example of that is My Dad the Bounty Hunter. Have you seen that show?
Oh man, yeah. Like I said, I'm waiting for season 3. Like I
Yeah.
said, it's it was great. Actually trying to get both. Well, Everett's been on the show, but I'm trying to get him and his partner back on the show, Pat Halpern, back on the show. But I'm pretty sure they're probably knee deep putting together season 3. But that's a
Probably.
great example, though. Um,
Yeah.
and I and I think I had, I think I remember him saying that they originally pitched it as just one thing,
Hmm. Yep.
one show, and Netflix wanted them to slice it up, into kind of longer form.
But that I remember talking to him like I was at Netflix at the same time he was at Netflix,
Okay.
and before they like started, like I think he was like I can't remember if he was in the middle of like writing in production or what, but I remember talking to him on a call, and this dude had chapters just written like, and it was like so much content that you could get out of it, and you could slice it in a way that wasn't too disruptive or forceful. You know what I mean?
That's a
So,
lot. Like I said, that's a lot. It seems like a lot of work. And uh, obviously, I love season 1. It was just, that My Dad the Bounty Hunter was great. And I was kind of curious how season 2. You're always curious how the next, season is gonna flow, and whether it's gonna continue going, whether the stories are gonna hold you, and that type of thing. It was great. It was really funny. So it's even more. I'm looking forward to it even more, and that's what I mean. It's taking a chance of a story like that it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be
mhm.
engaging, and I get, like I said, Netflix because they want people to binge watch and they want people to stay on the platform. They're going for more serialized stuff or things that can go into part one, part two, whatever it
Mhm.
is, whether it's live action or whether it's animation. That's kind of what they're looking for. But, you know, it's hard to, I would guess it's hard to really kind of, you know, stretch out something that originally was just a one-time thing and try and make it engaging and try and find this cohesive thread through the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think the audience is incompetent. I think most you got to assume the audience is smart. I think they can tell when you forcing something, right? Like in the story. But my theory on most strategies is balance, right? Like I don't I think it I don't know how much debt companies are in and how desperate they might be, right? Eh, to drive themselves to only lean on sequels and reboots.
Yeah,
But I'm always thinking like it's good to have a balance of projects, right? Like
yeah.
so that-
So are you working on one project at a time when you do things, or are you working on multiple projects at a time when you're trying to produce something?
I'm usually on one series at a time, usually, but I think I can see I got a glimpse of my future. And I think I'm probably gonna be shared between projects at some point in my life. I think that's how they do it at a lot of studios too. You know, they'll have a producer that might be ramping down on one project.
Yeah.
Now they're like producing this project is ramping up as well.
So how do you keep yourself sane in this whole crazy process of production? Because it is a lot when, and I've had this conversation. It's a lot different when there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line on a project, and you're allocating things around for to keep things in balance. And as a producer, co-producer, line producer, managing all those moving parts, so
Mm.
that the ultimate outcome is such an amazing thing. But that's why I find it fascinating watching, like I said, the behind the scenes of things. Um, and they got. Have you seen Rebel Moon on Netflix?
No, but I'm writing it down now.
Rebel Moon. They're going into season 2 now, and I think Zack Snyder directed it. So it's kind of this sci-fi fantasy thing, but he has a behind the scenes making of it, and it's just amazing how you're juggling all these parts. The producer is juggling finances of keeping things going, and the director's going from this meeting, checking set designs and all of that, and you know,
Hmm.
there's a lot of moving parts that go into it, and so handling a budget that and trying to keep things within budget. Where does where is there a range that you typically find like the projects that you've worked on as far as budget wise
Hmm.
kind of fall?
Oh man. Well, I might be a little too green as a producer to have a true comprehensive answer. But I think it always depends on how many episodes you got, and how long each episode is, right? Like I think
So what's the
like
longest series that you've kind of worked on?
yeah, the longest series I've been on, I think it was like a 40 episode series when I was at Pinky Malinky as like a production assistant and a coordinator. And it was like each episode was like 11 minutes or so.
Yeah,
Um, but I didn't, but I was at a stage in my life where I didn't see the number
number. Yeah,
for something like that. But yeah, and it also depends on the quality, right? So, I mean, like and generally like you can see like the budget going anywhere from like I don't know a million to like 5 million depending on
yeah.
like what budget you might have for the studio and stuff like that. But if you go to a Nickelodeon, it might be they might have a little bit
More
more
budget.
cash.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
So,
man. So do you,
you
as you as the producer, are you and you're thinking of I guess you have to keep in mind like the style and the quality of what the animation is going to be. Do you have that in mind, like for the story or for the budget? Well, the story would look good in this style, but our budget's not really going to justify being able to do that style. So,
Hmm.
or
Yeah,
do you find this kind of compromise between the two?
I think when it comes to like the style being picked out for the series, I think that comes down to the more creative head, like whether that's the showrunner or like the director of the movie. Like I think they kind of determine like, maybe the story might look better as a CG show.
Yeah,
And then obviously got to run that up the chain and get approval from execs, of course. I think, but then that yeah, and then it comes to like the producer and like whatever production executive is on it, and then you can determine like the budget based on that too, because
okay.
CG is
So
generally
it's
cost.
already been approved, like whatever. Okay, so say as the writer or the director, goes to the company and says, "Okay, I got this story. This
Hmm.
is the idea. Totally CG. This and that, and it goes to the director. It's either once it's approved, say, okay, I like this. We'll put the money behind it. That's when it comes to you to okay, this is the budget that we've allocated for this project. You disseminate how it's going to go out and kind of figure out how it all fits together in the different areas that's needed for it.
Yeah, yeah, because once you know what the show medium like is gonna look like as a producer, like you can determine what your assumptions are. We got a term called assumptions, that I was telling you backstage, like which is like, okay, we doing the CG show. How many characters can we really have like in each episode, right? Because that's gonna cost money.
Yeah,
Um, how many voice records can we do based on that, and like, and then all of that stuff is tied to money, you
yeah.
know, and with the schedule process and the pipeline. um then you
Well, I
play that.
mean, you know, uh, moving forward, like I said, it's been 4 years. You've done a lot of different stuff in those 4 years. If now, say another 4 years, you happen to, I hope it's way before then, but just say 4 years goes by before you're back on the show. Where do you see yourself doing and working on, or the things that you would kind of vision yourself doing 4 years from now?
Oh man, well, hopefully I'm still producing something. I think, you know, but I think I used to be really attached to titles, I think, like early in my career, right? And now I think I'm more attached to purpose. I think, which is so like my purpose, I think now is to like try to figure out how to make like the best content as possible for the fair price, with the
Yeah,
fair schedule, with the right technology and stuff. So I don't know like what kind of title I could see myself in four
yeah,
years from now. I just know like what I want to do. I
yeah.
think you
Well,
know.
have you thought about, because I had this conversation kind of with my last guest last week, because we were talking about you know mixed reality and the new tools that are coming out, and we were
Mhm.
specifically talking about uh, Apple Provision's new glasses and more immersive content coming out. Do you see kind of any kind of segue to what you're doing with animation, kind of colliding or coming into this space of more immersive experiences? Even for movies,
Mhm.
like I said, it's I don't have the glasses, but I did do the demo in Apple, and it gave me a chance to really experience the glasses and just experience how watching movies can be in with those glasses and things like that. How much more is it going to be? Is
Mhm.
that something also that you think maybe you know your position will think about even more as that kind of medium starts to grow in
Mm-hmm.
it, because I'm pretty sure you think about as a producer, if something was going to be, if a film was going to be made in 3D
Yeah.
versus 2D, or whether it's stereo vision or whether it's Dolby Vision, all the things that go involved, is kind of the some of the future technology or some of the more exciting technologies. Like I said, like we talked about with AI, and like I said with new AR
Yeah.
and VR things coming out that you kind of keep in mind or has come up in kind of the production pipeline of what you're doing.
Yeah, it hasn't come up in my life yet, but I do see it happening like 5 to 10 years from now, right? I think it's still a little, I think it's still a little premature. Like I don't know if there's one short film I think that was done in VR. Uh, I think it might have been on Amazon. It's something about like a road trip or something like this
I
girl
have
on
to
her
check
or
that.
something. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll follow with you on that. But there was a film. I think it was through Google too. I can't even
yeah.
remember.
I
But
think they did do a kind of a demo film for the Google glasses.
yeah, yeah. Okay. I could be wrong and I don't have the details, but it felt like that kind of came and went for the moment that it was in.
Yeah,
Um, and that's when it told me, or when I had the thought that it might be still a little premature making projects like that.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, yeah, I think, and I've mentioned it on the last one, uh, especially with Apple. Like I said, it's not your typical consumer project or product that people are going to immediately buy just yet. It has to come down on price,
that
and
effect.
it definitely has to come down kind of in size. I think a lot
Yeah.
more for it to be mainstream. But the potential, like I said, of what can be done with it, I see all this stuff kind of merging together. Miss Amanda, I know she's kind of in that world. There are lots of VR films on the MetaQuest. Yeah.
I need to
Uh,
get on the MetaQuest.
like I said, Apple Provision is still new, and I think as it gets into the hands of more developers and filmmakers and things, and the
Mm,
price comes down, and it's a little more affordable. Like I said, the average person isn't going to spend 4K just to have, but it is an amazing. If you haven't done it, or if you haven't tried it, I don't know if you've tried the Provision glass. You should. It's an amazing piece of device, and I can see how it's gonna. Like I said, as they get better at it, as the price comes down, as more developers create more 3D and immersive things for it, films,
yeah.
games, things like that, it's going to be even better. But um,
Did it feel like you was? Oh, I don't want to. You look
no,
like
go
you
ahead.
did when you tried those. Did it feel like it was right there?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
man, they had one demo scene of Alicia Keys singing in the studio, and she was walking like right towards you. I was like trying to. I found myself trying to grab her. Come on over to me. I mean, this really is the fidelity was like amazing, and like I said, they shot it in like a 3D environment, and so it was like she was like you were standing right there. She was
Wow.
coming right at you. So they had some. That's why I say you should check it out because it really is. They had one scene. It was a baseball scene, and you were like right in the dugout and at ground level watching this baseball. It was really a great
Whoa.
experience. Truly immersive. And like I said, as more people and more places start to build these immersive environments. Actually, Amanda worked on. I don't know if you've been out to Vegas, but they got this sphere. They got this building now. I forget
Okay.
what they call it, Amanda. I don't know if they call it the sphere, but it's the world's largest sphere, and they project experiences on top of inside of them and on outside of them. Like when I went, like immersive experiences. But when I went to go visit I got family out there. So when I went out the last time I was out there, it wasn't the inside wasn't open yet. They were still working on it, but they were
Mm-hmm.
projecting outside experiences at night and during the day. Were like different kind of stuff. And so at night they had like the moon, and it was like this huge moon. It was really cool. It looked like the moon was at ground level because the
Oh my
fidelity and
goodness.
stuff was so good. So you're starting to see, like I said, these buildings, these games. I think when they start to make more immersive experiences, I think she worked on. Let's see.
Yeah.
Also, the first immersive film at the Sphere was Postcards from Earth, which, like I said, I think it was like different
Oh, that's
planets and stuff like that. But I had to show you because
yeah.
I did a video. I recorded a video at night when I was on my way. Uh, we were on our way somewhere, and like I said, it was the moon they were projecting that night, so it was like really cool. Um,
That's insane. I can't even
yeah,
imagine what that
but
looks like.
technology, like I said, is going at such hyper speeds, and I think as you get entertainment people, getting a hold of a lot of this stuff, uh, yeah, that's what I think. That's what I thought she said. I worked
Thanks,
on
man.
that. She worked on that film. By the way, the film showing at the Sphere now, which
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not sure. Yeah, like I said, it's if you ever get to Vegas, it's a great thing to check out. Like I said, when I went, the inside wasn't open, but the outside was pretty cool. So I can only imagine what the inside looks like.
Oh, okay. I went to Vegas, but I didn't do that. I think I would have to like
Well, when did you
I
go though? Because this has only been a couple of years,
I
maybe
think I
two,
went
3 years, maybe 2 years. Let me know, Amanda. I
I
think
think it was
it's only like
2021 when I went.
2020 what?
2021. I went for like
I
my
don't think it
birthday.
was. I don't think this is only like a couple of years old. You could let me know for sure, Amanda. But I think the building is only like a couple of years old. Yeah,
Oh, okay. That's
yeah. They
okay.
just built it not too long ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm not that far behind. Thank
No, you're
goodness.
not that far behind. I think like in 2022, maybe 20, maybe late 21 is when it probably got kicked off the ground. But like I said, I'm really only thinking it's a couple of years old. Yeah,
Oh, it's on my list now.
but it's definitely a cool place. But like I said, I think with the the Apple device, like I said, it is a great way to experience animation since last September. Yeah, so she said
That's it.
it's only been open since last September. Like I said, I went there last year. Like I said, I went to Vegas last year, and it wasn't the inside. They were still working on the inside, but they were
Uh,
still showing projections on the outside of the building. Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I
So it's
might just have
only
to take
been
a trip
open.
out
Yeah, it's only been open about a year. Yeah, the
there.
inside.
Okay, yeah, because I'm trying not to get left behind. I'm trying.
Man,
So
you're almost like ahead. It's just the way technology is moving. It's hard to keep up, for sure.
yeah.
I know Demille is a big gamer there. The Apple Pro Vision was amazing. The Spheres Las Vegas is something I plan to see. As yeah, you should definitely go see it. Like I said, I don't know what the inside looks like, but the outside is pretty amazing, and the fidelity of the experiences they're showing is really high quality. So I can
Oh
only
wow.
imagine what the inside is going to be like.
I'll
But
take a
yeah,
trip over.
I would definitely check out the Apple Vision. Take a demo. Go up to the Apple
Yeah.
Store and do the demo. The quality and the fidelity of it is of the device is really good, and the eye tracking. It just took me a minute to get kind of used to the hand gestures of
Uh-huh.
opening up folders and things like that. But the tracking of just being able to look at something and open up a folder or look at something, the tracking,
Wow.
eye tracking is like really good.
Yeah. Okay. I'll definitely try that because I've been reading a book lately about like how to go about producing content for like VR and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
that
it's
very
it's
that's interesting.
like I said. I think as the industry comes down and things become more affordable, um, you know, like I said, you got a lot of tools out there already that you can use. Like I said, Blender. I know a lot of people are creating stuff for VR using Blender, which is free. So, you know,
See that I, just this conversation alone is like, I feel like you might as well just go in business for yourself. I think at this point, you
well, I
just
mean, it's opportunity, but you know, like any business, it takes a lot getting just you
yeah.
know, getting yourself foot in the door and getting clients that'll pay for it. Like I said, hold on.
Yeah.
Amanda, they have videos on the inside in the exosphere outside. Yeah, like I said, it's all
Wow.
kind of experience on the inside. I wish it was open. I probably will try and check it out because I'm supposed to be going back out there. Like I said, to do a remote live stream in July, so I may try and check out the inside of it because I didn't see it wasn't available. They're also on LinkedIn. Yeah.
They're on
Uh,
LinkedIn too. Thank
yeah.
you.
Is it called the Exosphere? Is that what it's being called,
Sounds like
Amanda?
some
Or is
that sounds like a superhero hideout. Like, what is that?
you can tell they spent a lot of money. Whoever put it together is behind it. They spend a lot of money on it, and it's definitely uh, Las Vegas is growing. Las Vegas is
It
really booming. Also,
should.
James, if you want something to experience VR, get a MetaQuest 2. It's reasonably priced now. MetaQuest 2. Yeah.
Is that the name? I think I had something like that 2 years ago. Like it's a one of those Meta VR things. I think I had that.
MetaQuest. Uh, I got it's not a true headset, but it is a AR because I use the software I use for like creating AR and VR stuff. I don't do a lot of VR. Do a lot more AR, augmented reality, but you can
That's
do
cool.
you can do VR with the software, but it's called Zapper. It creates a augmented
Hmm.
reality experience, and they have a headset, but it works with the phone. You put your phone in the headset, and it'll give you a VR. I haven't played tested it out
Oh,
yet, but it's got some great potential on just affordability of getting into it.
oh, okay. Do you hold like the phone
No,
and wherever?
it's got like it's like glasses. It's
Hmm.
the device is really small. It's got glasses that fit around the device fits on your head, but you
Hmm.
slide your phone into it's got holders where you can slide your phone and you're actually looking at the phone, and it comes with two controllers. So it's almost like a VR, it's almost like a cheaper VR headset, VR
Wow.
AR headset, but it's really it's made of clear plastic. It's a really low end, but you can do some pretty good with the software. You can make some pretty good experiences, but it just uses your phone. You app
Wow.
through the phone. It's even got a painting app I want to try out too, for sure. But
You are
it's the technology. Like I said, if you blink your eye, you can get left behind. with the
I see. I thought I was reading up on stuff until I hopped on this show. Now I know I don't know anything.
Oh
Okay.
man, hey, you always learning, man. Like I said, always trying to get better. Like I said, you can look at the first episode and see how technology's changed a lot since. So you try and stay with it. You know.
You give yourself a hard time, but you did great back then, though. I don't know.
Oh man, oh man. People, I cringe when I watch. I really do. But hey, I know it's all a learning experience, and you get better.
Yeah.
Like I said, you were my number 3, and now you're my 152nd guest.
That's amazing. Congratulations. I'm glad
You
you
are a
like.
guest. This is episode 152 with James Mosley II, and he was my third guest. So it's come a long way.
Oh man, the next time we do this, we'll probably be doing it in virtual reality. Wow.
Oh man, I'm hoping to do, like I said, I'm really looking to do more remote broadcasting and going to locations. That's why I'm looking forward to this Las Vegas Comic Con, or it's not Comic Con, it's GainsCon Film Festival, because this will be my first kind of real test remote live streaming the show. But I definitely would like to be able to go out to visit guests and actually do the show from your location, be out in California and do that. So you know,
Love to meet
um,
you in person.
yeah, to meet the guests. Demille, I will be hitting you up. Probably later on today or this weekend, because I'll be in Birmingham next month for family reunion, which Demille helped me out on some information. So I'm looking to meet. I'm really am looking to meet in person a lot of the guests and friends that I've made, because it's great, being on camera for sure, but definitely looking to commune in person, and break bread in person with a lot of the friends that I've had on the show so far. So I'm looking forward to meeting Demille in person, and definitely looking forward to breaking bread with you and some of the other ones that I've built this great friendship with in person. So this will be a good test, the Las Vegas thing, on being able to do the show remotely.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I wish you luck. Yeah, I think. Um, yeah, and I'm sure. Like we got a lot of technology. I think happening right now, and a lot of ways to communicate in different levels. But I don't think anything ever beats meeting people in person. You
Yeah,
know.
no. What's been for you? Again, this been 4 years has passed. What's been the big thing that you've learned over this, or gained over these 4 years, that's you wouldn't have thought of
Hmm.
4 years ago when we were doing the episode? What's been your biggest lesson learned over these 4 years? You've gone from
Mm.
uh, junior producer to now you're able to see the dollars and things behind. You're able to see at a higher level view.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing I've learned the most, I think, is like really learning how to think, right? Like I think I think when you're like at a more entry level like position, like you tend your brain can be a little bit more on autopilot in terms of like, problem solving or seeing the gray area and things.
Yeah,
And trying to come up with solutions and being creative with solutions. But I think now, like, I've had to really like think autonomously, right? And that takes a lot of brain power and a lot of patience, a lot of like
you weren't thinking about that back then.
oh no, no, because other people were doing that, right? Like, so I think critical thinking, I think, is something that I've really had to like come to terms with, I
So
think.
what was that step like for you
Mhm.
when you took that step from junior producer to you're the guy that's seeing a lot more? What for
Mhm.
you was that step like? What within it was difficult? What within it was kind of doubt on your part, if anything? What was that actual step like for you?
That I mean, that step looked like, it looked like me going for opportunities, like literally like in interviews, and having to express what my philosophy is on things and what my ideas are, and how to execute those ideas, and getting buy-in, I think, on my ideas.
Yeah,
um, would go about things. And then it just hit reality, I think, when people started asking me questions every day and coming to me looking for answers, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then me realizing that, truly realizing like it takes a team, because now I have to delegate, right?
Yeah.
And I have to delegate to the right people because I don't have enough time to actually do it myself. Um, and so, it was really like a mental shift. I'm a pretty simple guy. I
Yeah.
think once I make like a mental shift in my head and I understand, like, oh, okay, like you need to actually call the shots. I think that did I
Well, for
go
some people, I guess it would be. Well, I don't know. I guess it's the training that goes on. How much time you put in between that time you make that step. Um, but then I guess there is this little bit of, can I do this?
right?
This much more work that's required of me, and
Yeah.
this much more responsibility that's required of me. Some may question it. Some may, they'll do it, but in the back of their mind, that little angst of, can I do all of this work, or can I really
Oh
pull all of
yeah.
this together?
Imposter syndrome, I think, is common, right? I'm
Yeah,
definitely a stranger to imposter syndrome. But I think one thing I didn't say earlier too is, like, I had some pretty good mentors too,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Some pretty good mentors, and then great team members too. Like, I realize that not every solution needs to even come from you. Like, a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
times you have to identify the answer. So,
And I think I asked you this kind of, in the first episode, as far as, or the first time we talked. Is this kind of the lane, as far as the type of things you want to produce? Is this the type of lane that you like? The Nickelodeon style, children's style type of
mm,
production, or in this 4 years, has you it kind of expanded for you the type of productions that you want to be a part of, or would like to get your hands on and do type of thing?
that's a good thing. I think I still feel most myself, like in the kids and family department. Um, I don't really have an interest in like adult animation, and I think the reason why is because I spent like my 16 years old year like when I was 16 years old to like 24 years old or something like that. I spent every waking moment trying to animate my own adult animated shows. And so, like, the comedy with a show like
Yeah.
that, all of that stuff, it's become like I've become inundated, I think. Like,
So
and I
it's
think it
never come. It's never come into your mind that would be something that you would like to, maybe not stay in, but try or expand outside of the if an opportunity was presented, like somebody
Mhm,
came to you and said, "Man, we got this amazing project that we're working on. It's kind of
mhm.
more adult, more action, different from the norm of what you've been doing." As far
Maybe.
as the charge, it's that something that you had thought about, or like I said, are you just, this is my wheelhouse, so this is what I like,
Yeah,
more younger style?
I haven't really thought about it. That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it, but if it's the right project with the right creator, like, and the right showrunner, like, I can see myself doing it. I'm not really beholden, I
Yeah,
think, as you can see, to like whatever it is. Like, I'm kind of just married to animation production in general, right? Like, but you know what? Okay, I'll give you something. Actually, I have thought about
like
jumping into
say the
anime
Spider
at some
Verse
point.
fell into your lap.
If
The
what?
if Spider Man Across the Spider Verse
Oh
fell
my,
into your lap, and you had the opportunity to be producer on that, would that be something that you love to jump on, to stretch more what you have done to that point?
absolutely, yes. I mean, Spider Verse is like my favorite animated film, just because of like the representation. like when I saw Miles Morales, it felt like I was seeing like me as a kid. Like
Yeah.
I think,
Well, seeing that, obviously there are different production like tasks or things. I mean, when you were watching that, did you think about just the production things that kind of would have played in behind it or putting it together, and
I
whether
did.
that was something? Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Like it's a different pipeline and stuff. So that kind of thing is attractive to me because it looks like a challenge. Like I'm a crazy person. I like climbing mountains for some reason,
Uh,
metaphorically. Um, so I do like the challenge. But yeah, looking at something like that does make me curious and it makes me go, oh, maybe I should do a project like that so I could be a better producer, you know? I'm always looking at things like that. Like I thought about even have you ever seen Yasuke, the anime series?
Yasuke. I think I
Yeah.
may have seen one or two episodes. That's on Netflix, isn't it? I think
Yeah, it's
I
on
think it
Netflix.
is. Yeah.
Like the Black Samurai.
Yeah, the Black Samurai. Yatsuki.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yatsuki. Yeah,
It's
Yatsuki. Okay, it's Yatsuki. Yeah.
is
I
it
said
Yatsuki?
yeah. I
I
said
said it wrong.
Yasuke. I was
I'm
like, okay.
sorry. I must have
Yasuke.
said it wrong
The
there.
black when you said the Black Samurai. Oh, okay, Yatsuke.
Right, right. Okay, thank you for clearing that
Yeah,
up. I
I've seen
appreciate
that. Yeah, I've seen that. And
it.
even something like the Blue Eyed Samurai.
Oh,
That was a
yes,
great. It was
exactly.
a great. No, just thinking. The production behind it, is that something that if you had the opportunity to jump on to do, would you do it? Some
100%.
people like to stay.
100%.
Some people are comfortable, and that's fine. That this is what they want to do, but is that something that you thought might, like you said, stretch? You know, your
Yeah,
skill level.
absolutely. I mean, when I saw Blue Eye Samurai, I was like, man, I wish I worked on that. Like, just because I was a fan too, I was like, man, if I was like producing that, I probably I'd be reading every script like the moment it comes out. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
man.
that, but
Well, along that lines, does that give you the itch to maybe work on something or produce something outside of the job that you're working on, that type of thing? Has that even come across your mind? Of I'm sure you meet a lot of people, in your work day, your work career, that have their own ideas that they're working on. Is that something that sparked that thought of, well, I got this job, but there's this project that a friend of yours or somebody that is working on, that's an
yeah,
interesting project that you would love to sink your teeth into? Is that something that has come across your mind, or something that you would even think about doing down the future,
yeah, yeah.
producing something more personal on your own stake?
Oh, I think about that every day. I got a friend named Max that's always trying to talk to me about that.
Hey man, I got an idea, man, we can work on.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a talented writer too, with great ideas. I think for me, it's more about what do I have like time for, right? Like, you
Yeah.
spend so much of your time trying to make a living and just survive and feed yourself, and then I think a lot, so it's like my head hurts. It's like, do I want to think about that too, or do I want to like go to 24-hour fitness like after my day job and just lay down? You know,
Oh man. Well,
about that.
and I guess that's the thing. I mean, you were talking about Everett
Yep.
before. My dad, the bounty hunter. Obviously, he had to make a living doing other things and client work and something that's bringing home the bills. But this
Mhm.
idea of your own story, and not, like I said, not everybody, I guess, is cut out to pitch ideas or to try and see a idea from ideation to actual completion. That takes a different person all in and of itself to do that.
Yeah.
But something like that, where yeah, I was making a living doing this and doing client work, but
Yeah.
either working with a partner or just kind of seeing, like you said, seeing your own idea kind of come to life and taking it from idea to Netflix or wherever it may be, your own channel or something like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, if I were to do something like that, the idea would probably never come from me, I think. Because I don't know what happened. I think when I was making shorts, I think I just ran out of ideas and steam. Like I don't think in a way that produces like creative ideas anymore.
Yeah.
Like I would have to partner with somebody and just be the producer side of it.
Well,
Yeah.
again, I'm pretty sure, you know, like you said, you have friends and people that come to you. They know you're a producer
Yeah.
to kind of, you know, even if it's saying, hey, you know, I got this story idea, you know, for you, is it the balance of, okay, I got this job now that I got to take care of, or the energy of the story being so well enough and you love the idea so much enough to come on as a producer or, you know, a line producer for something
Yeah.
and go that route of, I don't know whether the producer also is involved with, you know, bringing in the finances, or where does that fall to the person? That's what I always thought a producer was. He was kind of the finance, you know, they found the
Mhm.
money and did it. Or is there somebody above you, like you said, that brings in the funds, and
Uh-huh.
you as a producer, you know, just kind of manage the funds or the finances type of thing?
Yeah, it depends. Like if you're doing like if you're trying to partner with somebody and just make a project, right? Then I think you need to find the funding. I think as the producer, but I think but if you're already kind of working at a network or a studio where the money's coming from them and they want a return on their investment somehow, I think so. And you're given a budget and everything, and you're figuring it out. But yeah, if you're going the more independent route, kind of, um, then you'll probably need to find that funding, or or if you're on the services side,
Yeah,
obviously the money is coming from the client, as
yeah. Well,
but
definitely. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do think about like funding like my own project with somebody down the line, but I don't know what I'm waiting on yet.
Well, I guess it would be the right project for you to, you know, really get on. Like I said, I'm pretty sure you know your share of writers,
Hmm.
animators. You know, like I said, your job is working within a team environment and a pipeline environment, so you're quite familiar with just the nuances of how to bring a team together. You know, how you're gonna, you know, work together and get the project done type of thing. Um, you know,
Yep.
and it's very rare. It's very hard to do everything yourself. You'll be working on that project for years, uh, which is why you see a lot of solo projects that are one or two people. They've been working on it for 2 or 3 years or more, and it takes a while to get out.
Right, right. And yeah, for whatever reason with that too, it could be a number of reasons why that's happening. But yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
For sure. Again, everybody, just tuning in. We hit 2 hours on this
Oh no.
podcast.
Time
I think,
flies when you're
yeah,
having fun.
it does, man. Like I said, it does. But for everybody just tuning in, we've been having an amazing catch up conversation with my friend, my brother, and family member James Mosley II. Again, he was on in 20. My third guest I ever had on the show in 2020 when I kicked this show off. He was my third guest, so catching up and really seeing what's going on with you. You know, it's been fun because again, I follow how the industry's going. Always follow everybody. You know, we may not talk every day, but I'm always following your posts. What's going on with you? Where you were, you know, kind of moving around to, and I try and keep my ear to the ground of what's going on in the industry, and I know this is kind of a nomad's kind of existence, for most creators. And like I said, you got to be cut out a certain way to to be
Yes,
able to do that, for sure.
yes, we
So
do.
I'm super glad. Like I said, things have been kind of, for the most part, steady with you. Like you said, you have your periods where you
Mm.
have gaps in there, but trust me, like I said, as long as it took uh, Joshua to finally get on a studio, as long
Yep.
as it's taken, and he's still looking DeMille. He's been working at his game animation craft for a while. It takes a while to get into a studio. It takes some people a long time to get that permanent thing that they may be looking for, and it's like I said, the
Mm.
nomad kind of work, going from project to project. It's a lot of networking, it's a lot of building relationships, and it's a lot of work in that relationship, and it's a lot of work.
It is, yeah. It's not for the faint of heart. This industry for sure.
Oh
Um,
man. But you never got to that point where you actually thought about stepping
Quitting,
away from, yeah, quitting or stepping away from you never actually got into that kind of
like,
long drought where, man, is this really what
no,
I want?
I didn't have a long drought, but I definitely thought about stepping away from the animation industry at least 3 times throughout my life. Like at least three.
So was it more the stress of what you were trying to do, or just getting the frustration of getting into the industry, or just the working? So what was it that kind of took you to that point where you thought about getting out?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't the stress of looking for a job. I was lucky enough to have somewhat steady work, like you said. But I think anything that you're trying to accomplish, whatever journey you're on, obviously you have obstacles
Yeah.
and points in your journey where like you have disappointments or bad moments. And I've had 100. I think. I've had 100 of moments where it just made me rethink: Is this really what I want to be doing with my
Yeah.
life?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But then
Oh
you
man.
go, and you keep moving, you keep it pushing.
Yeah. Well, for those, I like to always throw nuggets and value out there for those that, like I said, maybe at that moment, or maybe kind of in the midst of those moments of questioning whether you should keep going, or that type of thing. What do you say to them, and what do you try and tell them? You know.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I'm sure there's many people out there like trying to break into the industry, and there's moments where you feel down because there's not a lot of opportunities out there. But I would say, if it's something that you really want to do, like in your life, or something you feel strongly passionate about, um, then it's gonna sound cliche, but you just got to keep going. You just got to keep hammering away until something bites. Because if it's something you want to do, even for the rest of your life, right? Like maybe it'll take 5 or 10 years, or hopefully not that long. But that's a short period of your whole life, hopefully.
Yeah.
you know,
No.
and it's worth pushing through, you know. That's
Good,
what
good, always good piece of advice, and you guys know how I like to do it.
this is
Always try.
crazy. Like you didn't have this last time,
Nah.
did you? You got special effects and everything now.
I tell
I
you,
hope that's
everything was it was all jacked up then. Hey, like I said, I was a little rough cut. I was really rough around the edges. I mean, not that I'm super polished now, but I like to think I'm a little more polished in 4 years.
you are, sir. I hope that's not AI though. I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, hey, I use a stream deck, so it's better than pulling it over. I automate wherever I can and make the process easier. So that's what I'm saying.
You won't get
Oh
canceled.
man. Actually,
Cool.
that clip that clip comes from Action VFX. Uh Rodolph, who was a great guest. owns the company. They do like assets for, film and TV, like 3D visual effects assets they do. And so that was one of the fire explosions that I pulled from their site. They have a lot of great content that's like for VFX artists and filmmakers and stuff. So
Oh
definitely should
wow,
check
well,
them
that
out.
was cool.
Action VFX, great company.
Action VFX, you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Action VFX, great company.
Wow.
Again, this has been an amazing conversation. Like I said, this was definitely uh, longer than our first one, but I knew I was looking for it. I always love when guests come back and friends come back on the show. Like I said, I definitely don't want the next one to be 4 years for sure. You're always available. Or you're always welcome to come on the show. I know everybody's time is different, so I always appreciate when guests can just drop by too. All you got to do is just let me know and shoot your link
Just
and have
pop
you.
in.
Yeah, just pop in. Like I said, it's it's like you're coming home for a minute and visiting. So those are
Oh,
always fun for sure. And James, we realized this when we first clicked. We just had such a great time and just
mhm,
laughing and having fun. Uh, this
absolutely.
Amanda, great talk. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, Amanda, for stopping by.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody that's come by the show. I always appreciate all my viewers that supports the show. And again, trust me, guests like James and like I said, the veterans in season one are what laid the foundation. A lot of who laid the foundation for the color of motion and what it is today. It's definitely evolved since
Yeah.
then, but I couldn't have done it without, like I said, great guests and friends like James coming on and really just having a great time. This was, really
This is
wasn't
great.
scripted out because I knew we were just going to be chopping it up and having a conversation, catching up with what's been going on with you. You know, before the episode, I was catching you up with kind of what's been happening with me, type of thing. But that's what the show is really about, really sharing. So again, I can't thank you. Thank you, bro, for coming back on the show and just sharing the
Yeah.
love, sharing the fun, and sharing the laughter, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me back, and anybody who watched, thanks for watching. And yeah, it was fun. It's always fun linking up with you, and you get my humor too. So
Yeah. Get the humor. Make sure that you connect with James. You can connect with him on his platforms. He is in Instagram, James Mosley II. You can find him. You can also connect with him on LinkedIn as well. But definitely, he's a great guy, and we have a lot of fun. And definitely, if you're looking to get into the industry or have questions, he's there to kind of help you and would definitely give you any advice that he's attained over this span of his career and helping you kind of get into the industry, especially during this time, when it's everybody could use every connection they can get, and building friends is what makes it happen. So I appreciate you, brother. Again, if you could hang out for just a sec, I know we've
yeah.
been talking almost 2.5 hours, but I don't have you on the phone too long, so
Okay,
or too
I got
often. So I gotta take advantage when I can.
yeah. No, it's good. We're good.
But hang on in the green room while I close out the show so I can jump back on and holler at you. But everybody, again, please help me thank my very special guest and my very special friend and brother James Mosley II for coming on the show. Thank you, James. Hang out for just 1 second in the green room while I close her out, okay?
You got it. You know.
Guys, gals, this has been a super fun episode. Like I said, there's some guests you just love talking to because you have such a great rapport with, and like me and James are like brothers. We just get the same kind of humor and laugh and stuff. So it's always great catching up with past guests that are like that because it makes the show so much better. I can't thank you enough, as always, for giving me a little bit of your time every weekend. I can't thank you enough for coming on, supporting the show, supporting the guests, and continuing to inspire me to keep going. Again, James was guest number 3 in this journey of the color of motion. And if you've seen the clip that I showed from guest that episode, it was pretty rough on my part. And I've come a long way. He's come a long way in the 4 years that he's been on the show, and he's seen a lot and done a lot. And like I said, I always love when guests come on and kind of update me with how things are truly going in their lives, the struggles, the successes, and all. It's just a conversation between friends catching up. So with that, like I said, this has been a fun episode that I've always enjoy you always coming by and supporting the show. Make sure that, like I said, you get plugged into all the other channels like I mentioned earlier. Definitely want you to be a part of the community as well, and part of the family for sure. Next week is going to be no exception, man. This season 4 has been off to a great start, and we've had some amazing guests. Next week is no exception. Mr. Victor Oyibo, 3D character artist from the continent of the motherland, Africa, coming by to share his artwork and share his journey all the same. So I'm looking forward to that episode. Get that out. I'm just looking forward to that episode so much as well. So you definitely don't want to miss out with that. With that, I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. I hope you have an even better productive week, and I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, everybody.